I hate that we both have had to go through what we've had to go through, but also equally happy that we're here to talk about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm doing all right as I sit here, Bob. Actually feeling better than I have since I began to get sick 18 months ago. So,
Yeah.
the short form of this is I've been struggling with prostate cancer that had metastasized to my bones uh, back in January of 2025. Kind of went through what I know you reading your blog and the things that you're going to do to kind of acknowledge what your situation is and how to adapt to it and how to work with Christina and your son and to kind of make a new life and arrange yourself around it. So I kind of been there, and then about 2 weeks ago, I graduated from just prostate cancer to brain cancer up into your territory, which is
Yeah.
like a whole new kettle of fish. Um, and that has
Yeah.
meant, as it's just a whole other level of things. So struggling through it, but at the same time, just happy to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah. So look, like this is my first person interviewing that's not myself. I thought who better? And so yeah, so I mean, just to set the stage, right? Like, most people that are finding their way to this video probably know my story, but I was diagnosed with CNS lymphoma, including 3 brain tumors back in 2023. Launched this website, BBC23, Bob Battles Cancer 23, since that's when I was diagnosed. And it literally came to me in a fever dream. I got, oh my God. I was down in Disney taking our kid to his first Disney trip, talk about like one of my things I didn't think I'd be able to do a couple of years ago. And pneumonia, I came down with pneumonia. As you probably know, immune system is probably forever going to be not great, right? But as part of that, I've taken a whole bunch of steroids, and I couldn't sleep. And I like this idea of launching this website came to me through sleepless nights, and so yeah, here I am. I put it together pretty fast, but yeah, like you jumped right into it. But that's basically what I wanted to do, right? Is I wanted to tell my story, which I started doing on social media a couple of years ago. But because of, like you just said yesterday in your own video, how incredible the feedback was, I was like, okay, I'm through it a few years now. I'm back on the train. What can I do to kind of hear other people's story, right? I call people not just survivors, but thrivers. You're definitely fall into that category, right? Like go back to 2025 or that initial time period and different story, right? So just tell me, for those that obviously don't know, for those that find their way to listening to this, Kevin and
Yeah,
I, our families go way back,
way back.
way back, more than 40 years at least. But yeah, so tell me, I know this, but tell me a bit about you, your life before diagnosis, right? Like, let's talk a little bit, because the whole point of this is humanizing us as people before, after, and all of that. So yeah, just as long or as short as you want, but just tell me
Yeah,
about Kevin Hogan.
yeah. Well, short form again. I guess like you and I should be sitting here talking about the Eagles, right? I mean, a couple prep guys talking about brain tumors. Like, how did that happen? But
We'll get to that. That's part
yeah.
of my question set. We'll
All
get
right,
to the
fair
Philly
enough.
sports. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Well, a Philly guy, married, have had a great life, bounced around from what's Temple University in Philly, graduated again in St. Joe's Prep. So like Philly, San Fran, New York, Boston. Back lived in Trenton, raised a family in Trenton, and always had kind of a connect with Philly and New York. 3 grown kids who are the love of my life. Um, I spent my career writing about technology. One of my first bylines was the will email work in corporate America in 1993. So
Yes.
got
Yes,
that
it
one.
will.
Yeah, got that one right. Um,
Right.
and then about 25 years focused specifically on education technology. and where those go. And a long time writing about it, I also found myself using it, right? So it went from writing in print publications to writing on the web to writing in newsletters. And then most recently, in the past 6 years or so, pivoting to this style, to podcasting, as when podcasting became in vogue because of COVID. And also finding that this is a way to engage in a topic more deeply than just reading about it, especially when you look about specific topics such as this.
Yeah.
Also, at the same time, it was always voracious when it came to social media. That was something I wrote about, and also something I always enjoyed. And it was a sport as much as anything else, right? I mean, and you grow your network and you have friends. I had my LinkedIn profile probably has about 4,000. Facebook had about 2,000. And I always enjoyed the community. I didn't think much about it other than maybe entertainment or sport. And then I got sick. And then I had to make the decision on whether or not to go public about it.
Yeah, so let's pause there for a second. So living your life, great full life that it is. Yeah, that's one of the things that like is a big theme of what I want to discuss with folks is like, yeah, how did you learn about it? How, like whatever you want to talk through, like what were those initial days and weeks like? I imagine an emotional roller coaster like me, but yeah, like how did it you come across? Like was it just you were doing screening like you're supposed to, or like just talk me through it?
Yeah. Well, my wife and I were in Greece on vacation, and we both got COVID. Pretty bad.
Mm.
Recovered, obviously, and we're flying back. Big fat guy in coach seat with a bad back, and thinking, all right, well, COVID, bad back. Back continues to be a problem. I continue to travel for work. Still feeling fatigued. And then what every guy does is use Dr. Google and self-diagnosed. Long COVID. It must be long COVID because I had long COVID before. So I'm like, oh, this is what it is. This is what it is. So this is in October of 2024. Get up to around Christmas. It was something different. I started recognizing it as something different. Went to the emergency room the day after Christmas. They didn't recognize it as something different. They took an X-ray, and they're like, "You had too much ham last night. Go back to bed." Went to my general practitioner, did the blood work. I wasn't on top. I wasn't on top. I was that guy who I think I skipped the blood work, a blood panel like after COVID, right? And I'm like, whatever. I was supposed to go get my blood done. I never did it. Blah blah blah. However, it's turned out my diseases. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Went on. It was my wife who saved my life, basically, because I continued to feel this fatigue where I didn't go out for New Year's Eve. Me, right?
Right.
The second week
Not
of
the
January.
Kevin I know.
Yeah, exactly. So
Right.
one day she's like, you know what? We went to a different ER, and and this is a whole other podcast, but insurance company turned down the request for CAT scans twice within five weeks, right? So she takes me to the ER, and the ER doctor there was like, well, we're going to give you a CAT scan. And we're in there having a discussion about long COVID trials, and the ER doctor came back in tears, and she's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, what? And that's where it was discovered I had cancer. They didn't know what kind of flavor it was at that time, but it was all over my rib cage. I had a tumor between my rib and my lung, and bone mets all over the place, right? So that's when things accelerated. And honestly, Bob, I mean, I was so sick at that time. It was the people around me who I just sat there like a lump. And they were the ones who got the second opinions and the third opinions and got me in and got me sorted and got me in front of some of the most talented oncologists on the planet. And so since that time, I'm up here in New York City and plus Memorial Sloan Kettering, and just getting amazing treatment. And went from so with prostate cancer, there's a blood marker called PSA. So, and I hope you're having yours checked. And if it's over 4, that's when they're like, you know what, you probably need to get a biopsy. There's probably some sort of cancer activity. My PSA was 3,016.
A little over 4.
Over 4. And the
All
PET
right.
scan, you couldn't see. There was so much activity, you couldn't see the outline of my body. It was just so hot, the other oddity is at the same time, they began a course of treatment that I also responded immediately. There's something called triplet therapy. It was a combination of removing testosterone, which is what feeds prostate cancer, and also just a series of other drugs as well as chemotherapy. So I had that over this last summer. It's called triplet therapy, and it brought that from 3,016 to 0.76, which again,
Amazing.
I take a perverse pleasure in confusing the world's most brilliant physicians. It's like, we don't understand what's going on. Unfortunately, as soon as that treatment was done, it started to kind of go back up again.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so riding that one particular roller coaster, and then just so 2 weeks ago is this other kind of foul ball that's come through, which we're now trying to figure out. So it's still murky land. We don't know what's happening. All I know is the brain surgery that I had, the shunt they put in my head, is working. But the fluid that was drowning my skull is now flowing into my abdomen. And then the cancer treatment has been suspended, but hopefully that'll be able to get started back up soon. And then we'll figure out what to do with the olive in my skull.
Yes, I saw the olive imagery last night. But yeah, before we get to the new one, then what I don't want to skip over is like, dude, you've been living the hell out of your life since, I don't know what that time period was when things kind of, you went from, not to be over 4, you went to 3,000 down to 0.7. But like, I mean, talk about taking a second chance and running with it. I mean, like, I've just been super impressed seeing you pop up all over the place and just doing things. So before we get to the latest, like last, week or so, 2 weeks update, like talk to me about between now and then, because I'm impressed and in awe of what you've been doing. So you want to just high level, but like, what have you been up to?
Well, I mean, one of the things, Bob, and I'm sure that you know this, and maybe it's our prep education, I don't know, but like kind of skeptical when it comes to cancer cliches and like, do your best, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind of cringes at me, but more of a kind of like, just do what you can while you can. There's a line from a Van Morrison song, Into the Mystic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's too late to stop now. Which is kind of like an Irish sarcastic kind of cliche, like, you're going to be
Sure.
gone, you might as well do it. And I've taken that to heart and just tried within the restrictions that I have to do the best. So my youngest son goes to school at Queen's University in Belfast, and during chemo last summer, I'm just like, we're going, I'm going, and
Yeah.
then you just kind of do it. And it wasn't easy, but then you come back and you do it. And on a lesser degree, even this summer with World Cup, and I'm up here in the city, I acknowledge the privileges that I have to be able to do this.
Sure.
I have an incredible support network. I have a GoFundMe. I've been able to continue to work. I'm on disability, but I'm also able to continue to work a little bit. But have the grace of friends who are helping us be here. And so I'm able to, like, I'm going to try to get 5,000 steps a day, and whatever that means, however it means. And I'm also, again, taking the privilege in a more fun sense, like ice cream for breakfast, right? World Cup helped out a lot. Like, Uzbekistan's playing Portugal. I'm going to go to the surf bar in Rockaway Beach. I'm going to sit on the C train for an hour and a half just to watch the match, and because I can,
Right.
and then get back on the C. Oh, because in my old life, I'm like, I'm not going to take the C train for an hour and a half just to watch a stupid match, and now I'm like, now I can, like, let's do it.
Right.
I continue to learn and pull many things from this experience, just to try to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I definitely want to cover this most recent part, but like, I think I may have a handle on this based on what you've said so far. I know you're a big music fan like me. We'll close on the music stuff, but like, what would you say is like a one or multiple sources of strength that like you wouldn't have anticipated before all this stuff happened? Like, is there something you can point to?
Absolutely. I think I might have mentioned it yesterday in my own video. And actually, that's an example is using online platforms for support, using that as a communication medium amongst your networks, both professional as well as personal. Again, as I mentioned, I was super share before, hey, look, here's a picture of my dinner, blah, blah, blah. And now that I've kind of shifted to this more serious sort of thing, that wider community has lifted up and almost, no, not almost, in a spiritual sense to give me support. So last Thursday night, I was in the ICU at Sloan Memorial. They moved me down to the regular room, can't move. You know this deal, right? Can't move your head, or the alarms go off in the beds and neuropathy tests and all that. All I could do was have my stupid phone and scroll. And I had made a couple of posts, I'm in the ICU, blah, 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 and just hundreds of likes and support and prayers and this and that. And it was in that morning when the physical therapy people came around, and they're like, hey, you look pretty beat up. You want to give it a shot to walk around? And that was, they weren't telling me at the time, but that was like if I passed their test, they would sign off on me leaving the hospital. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get up. Like because of that the feelings that I had from those interactions, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it. And I walked around, and they gave me one of the 6 different teams that had to give me clearance, and I got up, and I got out of the hospital 3 days early.
Right.
So
It was a Friday. That was a big part of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you miss that last round, man, you're done until Monday at noon, and that's not a good place to be hanging out on the weekend.
No, no. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, yeah, as you know, I did the same thing, right? Different way, sort of, but posted on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and I actually turned in a lot of those, just a small fraction of those comments that people wrote, and I turned it into the motivation section on BBC23.com, which is just like a series of, it's almost like third party validation for for like a product,
100%.
right? But I'm like, hey, let anyone else who's going through this that finds their way to my infant little site I just started, with 4 views, but anyone who finds their way there, like, let this be yours too, right? Like, it doesn't have to be just for me.
Yep.
Words mean stuff, man. I mean, like, there's a lot of negative stuff out there for, that's what the social media scene in a lot of places, but man, there's some good in it too. So I'm glad it's been that way for you as well.
Yeah, and what people have told me, I mean, so at first I was embarrassed. You're going to be embarrassed, right? Because you're a mascot.
You're vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah. But people say, look, it gives them joy to give you kindness. So it's and even if it's something as stupid as a thumbs up, it's a dopamine rush. That's all it is. All the things that they worry about kids having because they're worried about the likes. In our universe, it's opposite. You want to give people the likes. You want to give people that little dopamine hit to keep going, and it helps them to think that they're helping you. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, it's mutual for sure. So like, when you think of the word hope, and this might be different now compared to a year and a half ago, compared to last week.
Yeah.
But is there any like visual image or something that you can think of when you think of the word hope compared to kind of the cancer journey that you're on?
My hope is in the present. I've had, I don't have, to be honest with you, I don't have hope for the future. I have hope for today, and I have hope for
Yeah.
the present. Where my hope before I was sick was like, oh, I hope I see my grandchildren. That's, I mean, it's certainly a want, it's a desire that I want, but it's not something I'm going to hang my hat on that it's going to happen. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I would say more that hope is the idea of just being here today and being in the present. We'll go back to our Latin classes and the Stoics, and just kind of being,
Present.
being here and being present, and then that's enough. That's enough for today. And I'll tell you, it makes it easier. It makes it easier. Again, the understanding that this is our privilege. There are guys in my online support groups who have to go to work, and they don't have the financial ability to stop working, and they're still struggling with this sickness. I mean, I also have to constantly remind myself of how lucky that I am.
Yeah.
In the circumstance.
Yeah. It's crazy and where our circumstances are different, and every situation is different. Like there's no, you know, there's no right way to respond. Whether you're the person who's diagnosed, whether it's the support network of folks that are, supporting people that are, because that's a whole other set of conversations I want to have, quite honestly. But yeah, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. So like, is there like a new daily ritual? I see it posting the Wordle scores. I see it posting YouTube songs. Is there anything else that like is like something that you try and do every day to get and taking walks? You mentioned. Is there anything else that you haven't mentioned that kind of, when things feel overwhelming, that bring you back?
The one thing I was kind of doing it anyway, but now I think with a more of a specific focus. As I just mentioned about like being present and like taking the win every day, like if it's whatever it is. That it used to be a lot more complicated than it is now. Like I got a haircut on Tuesday, and like,
dude, the first haircut was so cathartic.
I got a hot shave on top
Oh
of it.
yeah, I get the massage, the wash.
I'm like,
it was insane.
Marry this 24-year-old Colombian guy after that. It's like, this is so fast.
Oh my God.
So that's a win,
Oh my God, that's a huge one. That's not a little one, but yeah.
Somebody took me out to lunch today, and I had a Negroni. Like, I wouldn't have done that 3 years ago,
Right,
Like,
right.
so it's those little things. But one thing I do, I love photography, and I use my phone, and I always have. I mean, even before iPhones and stuff. And so I'm always snapping. But one thing is, I think I'm going to start kind of an archive. And again, this whole idea of like take the win, like one thing a day. I'm going to go back at the end of the day and look at my pictures and pick one and tag it like FTW. Like, here's an example of what I accomplished today that made me feel good.
Yeah,
and it's really easy, and it's an example of how easy it is to feel good about an accomplishment. You don't have to like sign the big deal. You don't have to close on the mortgage. You don't have to. It's just something as simple as having a nice lunch or a haircut.
Right. So I got a couple things I'll close on, but before that, do you want to talk more about like just this last week situation and where you are? Or you think you kind of covered that off already? I don't want to not give you the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, well, no. So the next stages are, I have an MRI on the 31st, where they'll be able to get a better gander at the olive in my head and figure out how to deal with it. And as
Mhm.
part of that will be, when and how to resume my cancer treatments, which were going well. I had
Yeah.
a second line treatment called Pluvicto, that was bringing it down. So it was kind of all systems go. So we went sideways there. But just, and Bob, you know this, I'm sure. Biology is biology. You can't will it one way or the other. And so I've come to terms with that. But I also have the complete faith in my medical team. And it's like, if they can't figure this out, it wasn't supposed to be figured out. So
Yeah.
that kind of where we're at. And in the meantime, it's like a little bit of a honeymoon here. Just enjoying my son's coming up from DC, my daughter, and my youngest son is here in the city. My daughter lives here in Brooklyn, and my wife is 10 feet away working from home. And we're just enjoying our time. And that's it. That's all there is, really.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I'm actually glad we could fit this in for a variety of reasons. But actually heading down to Avalon for
Nice.
the week on Saturday, and then speaking of sports teams, actually the before coming back to Massachusetts. No, the following weekend we're going to go to Philly proper. Going to stay down by the Delaware Old City, and we're going to go to the Wrexham match at Union Stadium there. So I'd love to get over to Wrexham someday. I actually had a trip planned in 2024, and you know was told no. But would love to get over there maybe next year actually. Um, but yeah, so heading down to Philly. But yeah, like you may not want to put this out there to the public, but what do you think? You think one of our four core teams are going to win the championship in the next year or two, or do you not want to put that into the world?
That's all right. I know my sons are all Sixers. I'm Phil's Birds, Sixers. I'm Flyers. Whatever. But
Yeah,
I'm ready for one. And I can say that just in the context of what you're saying, it's like I don't make plans anymore. I set
right. That's fair.
set goals. So one goal is Wrexham at Yankee Stadium next week.
Okay.
So I think I got that one. I'm feeling pretty confident on that one.
Okay.
The next one is Birds in London in October. We'll see. It's a goal. It's a goal. It's not a
Yeah.
plan. It's a goal.
No,
Um,
it's a goal. Yeah, yeah.
and
I
then
wanted to do that one too.
yeah, and then the next one is yes, get some championships under the belt. Uh,
Right.
so yeah, it's definitely on the agenda for multiple teams.
Yeah. So music wise, I do have so what kept me going was music. I created a playlist. I've
Yeah, I got it.
renamed it now BBC23 OG
I'm a
playlist. But
subscriber. Yeah.
yeah, nice. But yeah, like it really was though. And a couple of those artists are friends, and I plan on interviewing them too. And one's actually a multiple time cancer survivor. So I'm actually set to talk with her sometime in the next few weeks. Melanie from Cersei, but yeah, no, I know you do a lot of YouTube songs. Are you anti Spotify? Do you use Spotify? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
All
big time
right.
Spotify.
All right.
I use the YouTube only because as a kind of a visual medium for when I share songs on Facebook. But no,
Nice. Okay.
I live in Spotify.
Okay.
It got me through chemo because I can't even do cancer right. So I was allergic to docetaxel. So instead of
Oh,
like 90 minutes, I had to go 5 hours, and they would crank me through with Benadryl. So I was just kind of in like a fugue state. But so all I could do was listen to music, and learned. I got a lot of new bands. Um,
right.
got totally hooked on Geese, which was hysterical because my kids were like, "How do you know Geese?" And so
Right.
that's been kind of a running joke going there too, because that's the whole. The music is again another connection on platforms and where people share experiences, and that then extends to various stupid group chats and other things to distract and entertain. And music is hugely important. That's a whole other podcast too. Oh, how the AI figures out what you like, you know?
Well, the algorithms, yeah. I mean, I remember, I can never think of the name of it on the top of my head, but there used to be a great music app that had the absolute best algorithm, and then it was bought by someone else, and now it stinks. But
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say how AI is taking over songwriting,
Uh,
which is a whole other
yeah, it's a
issue.
whole, but we have to do a series of podcasts, man.
But yeah, I'd love to, as you're also the first interviewee here, I'd love to, if you have one in mind or want to create one, I'd love to kind of add, my goal is to have a whole cornucopia of BBC23 playlists. So, if you have one that you want to send over afterwards and just dupe one that you have or whatever, and if you want to tie your name to it or just a theme to it, I want to, my goal is to have a whole bunch of BBC23 playlists floating around in a year's time that
Yeah.
can introduce people to different bands. Maybe they're feeling they need some inspiration. Maybe they just want to be down for the day, like it doesn't all have to be like lift me up. Like mine
Yeah.
definitely goes up and down. So yeah, I would love to get one if you want to do that after.
Yeah. 100%.
Cool, man. So, like, Kev, let's close this down. One of the ways I was thinking of ending these is, if you had one sentence, one phrase, one note of whatever you want to call it to someone that may like just found out like you did, like I did. Honestly, I was fatigued. That was my issue. Same thing. And it's just that I had, a tumor already in my brain. But, if there was anything you could say to someone that was in that same state of shock that you and I were in, what do you think that could be? This is the one question I plan to like end these things with. But do you have any thoughts on that?
I would say to take a beat. Just take a beat.
Mhm.
You're still alive. Take a beat. You're still alive. Slow it down. And I remember my oncologist saying the same thing because I was in an emergency situation. So like because of my blood work and everything else in that normal hospital, not cancer hospital.
Yeah.
They were ready to jab me with chemo, like as I was in the hospital, like it was like an emergency situation. And when we went into her, she was just like, take a beat. And we did that. And I mean, it's not a heart attack, right? It's not a code blue necessarily. You may have some time to make some decisions on how you're going to approach it, even in an advanced state. So, I mean, I think that would be my one piece of advice. I mean, obviously not going to take your time.
Right. I'll get back to you in a year. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get to the weekend, right?
Right. No, that's fair. That's great. And I mean, there's no right answer to that either. And I also want to be like every situation again is different. But at the same time, they're all equally. I've had folks say like, "Oh, well, mine wasn't as serious as yours," or I'm like, "Take that back." Like, I don't want to hear that.
Well, that's one of the things
So
now with this next level one, and it's kind of liberating in a way. There's
mm,
all the prognoses, like all you're projected to live 2 years, you're projected to live 5 years, blah blah blah, slow growing prostate, slow. My thing, there is no other medical literature on it.
mm,
Like this is so it's like it's an outlier, and it's kind of freeing. So nobody can say, "Oh, well, don't worry," because this is like it's unknown, which is it can be scary, but at the same time, it's like screw it, on a high wire.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, good luck with that next one, man. I mean, that's why cancer research is so important, so that folks can be lucky as we've been so far, at
yeah,
least, right? So,
yeah.
cool, Kevin. I'm gonna land it here, man. But I'm
All
just
right.
so happy to chat with you,
Yeah,
and
this is great.
Best to the family, man.
And,
All right. I'll let you know when this bad
congratulations.
boy goes live.
Yeah, and congratulations on all your efforts. It really makes a difference. And when I have some spare time, I'm going to try to help you out and do the same thing. And we can continue the conversations whenever you want. I love them.
I'm looking forward to a part two when you're through this next surprise.
Beautiful. All right, brother.
All right, Kevin. Thanks.
Okay.
Best of the family, man. All
You
right.
too.
All
Bye.
right. See you. Bye.